Welcome to Face Islam, the program dealing with the issues, topics, and problems facing Muslims everywhere. Today I want to talk about something to do with the ladies, for the women. Subject is called the Shahadat al-Mar'ah. In English, witnesses, the women's witnessing. In the Quran, in chapter 2 of it's called Surah Baqarah, toward the back of it, we find one of the biggest verses in the Quran. It is the number one, I think it's a whole entire page actually, for one verse. You imagine this? It's verse number 282. And it deals with Muslims being obliged to write everything down in a contract of any kind of business or agreement. If you have an agreement, anything to do with wealth, property, money, even, you know what, the testimony, last will and testimony, if you have a will, has to be according to this, which is, number one, everybody has to do this. If it's a business deal, if it's a transaction coming up, you're going to get employed, whatever you're going to do, you're making agreements with people in this world about worldly matters. We're talking about buying houses, selling cars, going to work, anything whether it's a contract between people needs to be committed to paper. Okay, we understand that. And it needs what? It needs to be dated, okay, and it needs to be written out. But what if I don't know how to read or write? Then you must get someone who knows how, and he's got to put it down faithfully to what you said. Then you sign, okay? And then what? Witnesses. Shahadat. Witnesses. Witnesses to what? To what you signed. And they are witness that you signed it and what was the content. They have to know what the content is and how it was being presented so that the essence of it is there. The reason for witness is so that we know when you signed it as a witness, well, if something comes up later and there's a dispute, a difficulty over this whole thing, wait a minute, I didn't say that. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Let's get the contract. There it is. No, I don't know where you got that from. Hold on. We have two witnesses that were right there and they heard the whole thing. Because it's not one, it's two. We must have at least two. You can have more. You have 10 witnesses if you want to, but two is what's required in Islam. Two witnesses to this. Not one, two. And these witnesses are not participants in the contract. That means you made a deal with this guy to buy a car, okay? He cannot be a witness to it himself. He is agreeing, yes, and you're agreeing, but the witnesses are not him and not you. And of course, it's better not to be somebody that works for him or somebody that's, his close relative. It needs to really be witnesses that are not going to be, well, partial to the outcome. But just in case, you got two of them, don't you? You bring your witness, he can bring his witness. There's your balance. All of these things are because we want to make sure everybody is treated fairly. That's why it's there. So what's the subject today? Because in the Quran it clearly says that one man and one man, two witnesses, or a man and two women, witnesses, so that we've got proper witnesses. Now here's where the problem comes. Some people have taken this to mean what? Oh, look how you're putting women down. How? Because you have two women and one man. And? So if we had two men and one woman, then what would you say? I'm asking you. Be honest. If we had two men and one woman, you'd say the same thing again, wouldn't you? Oh, how come you don't let two women? You might even be saying, well, it should be more women because women blah, 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 blah. Yeah? Yeah. It's because there's a difference, and you're noticing a difference, but you haven't taken time to really think it through. Who said it? This is in the Quran. If you don't know the Quran, if you don't know where it came from, that's fine. But understand that we Muslims consider it to be from Allah. Now, if you don't believe in Allah and you don't believe in the Quran, then what's your problem? It doesn't affect you, but it affects us. We believe there's only one creator and sustainer of the universe. We believe that he communicates with us through these prophets who have come since the time of Adam, Abraham, Moses, David, Suleiman, Jesus Christ, peace be upon all of them, and Muhammad, peace be upon him. All of them. And they came with the same message. Believe in God, worship God without partners, and do what he wants you to do, and have a good life. Boom. Along the way, he sent some of these messengers with a communication called the Quran, or recitation, and then the last and final one is the Quran as we know it today. And in it, God's speech says these words. One man and one man. One man and two women. So the minute you hear that, if you're a believer, you say, Sami'na wa atana. Because Allah told you, you're a believer, say it. We hear and we obey. So how come you got a question? Because you don't think Allah knows what he created? You don't know that he has a reason for using the two women? Maybe it is that one will forget and the other one will remind her. Maybe it is that they're not used to these kind of contracts. Maybe it is they're a little bit shy in front of the men and could be intimidated by somebody saying, well, no, it was like this, it was like that. No, two women say, no, it really was this way. You didn't think about that? There's a lot we forget to think about. So let's face Islam. La